Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Guys, we're making the beautiful jumpsuit you just saw, and the first step today is to mark our starting line. See, don't mind I'm starting at the 2.5-inch line. My tape rule is torn, so I'm trying to get my ½ inch properly. So just mark your starting line, and I just mark half of the fabric up. I'm going to use my ruler to connect in order to have a straight line. As you guys can already tell, this is an off-shoulder jumpsuit, and most of my off-shoulders start from the 6-inch point. That is why I am starting from the 6-inch point. My half length is 16.5 plus 0.5 inch, which will give me 17 inches. That 0.5 inch is to enable me join it to the other part, which is the trouser part of the jumpsuit. I'm doing this to ensure that I get a straight line, after which I would connect with my meter rule. After that, I decided to cut out the measured part for ease and to also ensure that you guys understand the tutorial properly. So I'm going to input half of my shoulder measurement. Half of my shoulder measurement is 7.5. I'm going to input that. As you can see, I also decided to input my other horizontal measurements, like my armhole and my bust point. My armhole is 8 and my bust point is 10 inches. After measuring my armhole, I moved over to my bust point. So guys, the next step is to go to my armhole point, and on that armhole point I'm going to take my bust circumference divided by 4 on the armhole point. My bust is 37 divided by 4 is 9.25, or 9¼ as most persons call it. That's exactly what I'm going to be taking on my armhole line, as you can see right now. I'm going to go in by 2 inches on the starting line because I want this off shoulder to be very fitted. So let's say I already marked 7.5 as my off shoulder point, and I go in by 2 inches. It gives me 5.5, and that's the point I'm going to connect to my armhole line. Okay, after that I added 1-inch allowance. Guys, do not add 1-inch allowance. I added 1 inch because I'm going to be weaving it. I won't be turning it fully with the lining I'm going to be working with. I'm going to end up weaving it, so that's why I just added 1 inch. 1-inch allowance. Guys, add 2 inch at most. Do not add 1 inch. Then I'll still go on my bust line and still take my usual bust measurements and go to my waist. My waist is 28 inches divided by 4, which is 7 inches, right? So I also added 1 inch to that. Guys, do not add 1 inch, add at least 2 inches so you can fully turn your outfit and so that the allowance can be enough. Okay, do not add 1 inch like I did in this video. Also guys, do not forget to add an extra inch for your dart. Okay, just add an extra inch and cut like you see me doing in this video. Just cut it out. Yeah. So guys, the next step is for us to cut our back pattern. Yeah, you guys know zip allowance comes into play, and I'm trying to arrange my fabric. So guys, our zip allowance is going to be 1.5 inches. Okay, and that's exactly what I'm measuring now. Guys, just look closely and you'll see that I just measured 1.5 inches. And at the waistline, I'm going to take 1 inch in order to get rid of the zip bulge. Instead of 1.5, I'm going to measure 1 inch at the waistline, and I'm going to connect from that waist point to the 1.5 inch at the top. This is just going to get rid of the zip bulge. No bulge, everything is going to lay flat and smooth. Okay, yeah. The next step is to cut it out. Use the front piece to cut out the back piece, and that's just what I've just done. Then the next thing is to cut our pants or trouser, anyone you want to call it. Some persons will say, why are you calling it pants? It should be called trouser anyway. Anyone, different strokes for different folks. The first thing you should do for this trouser is to mark your starting line. This is to enable you know where you are beginning to take all your measurements. Then the next thing I marked, which I'm ruling out now, is my hip point. My hip point is 10, but plus 0.5 inch allowance for joining to the upper part. I marked it to be 10.5, which you will see now. Yes, my hip point I marked 10.5 because of 0.5 inch allowance. Okay, then my crotch, which is 11 inches, I'm going to add 0.5 inch to in order to have 11.5 inches, which is what I'm marking right now. Okay, that is very necessary so that you don't get short and the trouser is not too tight. I just want to have that 0.5 inch that I'm going to use to join the upper part, and that's exactly what I'm doing. You can add more allowance if you want, but this is just my preference. Okay, after taking my crotch measurement, the next thing I'm going to do is to take my hip measurement divided by 4 on my hip point. Okay, my hip is 39 divided by 4, that's 9.75 or 9 and quarter. Okay, I'm going to input that plus 1 inches, that's 10.75. That's exactly what I just marked. Okay, then I'm going to try to form a straight line. This is to enable me get my crotch line. I'm going to measure that same 10.75 on the crotch line and as well as on the starting line to just form a straight line. Okay, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm going to take my material and connect it properly to form the straight line. Yeah, over to the next step, which is, getting my crotch extension. I got my crotch extension by dividing my hip by 16. Some will say divide by 4, divide by 4, but just divide by 16. So my hip is 39 divided by 16. I get 2.43. I just ran it up to 2.5, honestly, and that's what I inputted at that point, 2.5. Yeah, and after doing that, you'd have to get your curve, but I wouldn't want my curve to be too deep, which is why you see me coming out by 1 inches from the edge. I came out by 1 inch, and that was how I formed my crotch curve. And I used my chalk to trace it out and join it to the line. Okay, and that's basically how I got my crotch measurement. Okay, after that, guys, I decided to take my waist measurement. My waist is 28 divided by 2, which is 7 plus 2 inches. That's 1 inch for that and 1 inch allowance. So I added 2 inches, which gave me 9 inches. Then I'm going to connect the waist to the hip to form, that hip line. You can just use your hand to trace it, to just give a bit of curve. But this was what I had that period. So I just, straightened it out. Then I marked the point where I want my fleece to start, and that was at 21.5 inches. And I added 1 inch allowance to make it 22.5. So I marked 22.5 on that spot. Then I decided to divide my crotch into 2 to form a straight line. This is me dividing my crotch into 2 to form a straight line to enable an even distribution of the measurements. Then I marked my tie line or lap line, and my tie line is 14, so I marked it out and formed a straight line. The next step is to input my tie measurement. My tie is 24 divided by 2, which is 12, plus 1 inch, which is 13. 13 divided by 2, that's 6.5, 6.5 on each side of the line. Equal distribution of the measurement. That's what I did. Then I took the measurement of the place my flare will start, which is above my knee, and that is 18 inches. 18 divided by 2, that's 9, and 9 plus 1 inch is going to give you 10 inches. So I distributed 5 inch, 5 inch on both sides, and now I'm connecting to form my trouser. Yeah, guys, as you can see, our trouser is already formed. Our trouser is already properly formed. Okay, now I'm going to cut out the back part using the front part. Just leave enough allowance on each side, as you can see. First off, I'm going to go in by 2 inches on the side, as you can see. After going in by 2 inches by the side, I'm going to come out by 2 inches. We're doing this because our back is not straight, okay, and we are trying to achieve an equal straight line by the side. At that 2 inch point, I'm going to go up by 1 inch. Guys, the way you go up depends on how big the person's bum bum is. Sometimes I go up by 1.5, sometimes I go up by 2 inches, depending on what I want to achieve. If it was a high-waisted trouser, I'll probably have gone up by 2 inches or 1.5, okay. On the crotch line, I'm going to come out by 2 inches as you just see me doing. Then I'm going to go down to my knee line and I'm going to come out by 1 inch. Okay, and I'm going to connect. I hope that is self-explanatory and you can just follow what I'm doing. I'm just going to connect from the top part to the side to the other part of the side then to the knee line. That's just what I'm going to do. Yeah, then after that I am going to the crotch line to input the back crotch. I inputted 2 inches for mine. The input is usually between 2 to 3.5 depending on how big the bum bum is, and I'm going to connect from that point to the top part, so the top 2 inches that I measured, as you guys can see. So I connected to that point. Then guys, I'm going to add my zipper allowance. I added 1.5 inches. Yes, I added one. That's what I'm adding right now. I added 1.5 inches for my zipper allowance. So I just, tapered it down and formed this stuff, which I'm going to carefully cut out while cutting. This is my zip allowance, guys. So guys, from the other end, I'm going to connect to the crotch line. Just do it the way I'm doing it. Just going to taper it a bit, then connect it to the crotch line up there. Yeah, at this point guys, whatsoever we have cut, you need to trace it out on your lining piece. I'm going to quickly do that off camera, and yeah, also trace out your dart on both the half length and the trouser part. Trace out your dart. Just do everything to make it easy for you while sewing. I used a dart length of 5 inches. The next step is to cut our sleeves and our flare. I'm going to cut 2 pieces for each, and the measurement I use is 70 inches by 23 inches, 70 inches in width and 23 inches in length. So guys, I'll see you in my next video where I'm going to be carrying you guys along while sewing this beautiful jumpsuit. Stay tuned. I'm going to be uploading that ASAP, probably tomorrow. Okay, so stay tuned, subscribe. You can follow me up on Instagram. Bye guys.